In the early days, it was about getting really good barbers in and barbers who kind of had that profile and were really good at cutting hair. And we'd end up with toxic situations that would disrupt the whole shop. Whereas now it's the approach that you can't make a good barber be a good person, but you can teach a good person to be a good barber. So it's more about getting the right type of people into the shop. So if you can get the good people in that want to do the right thing, and we can train them to be barbers.
Hi there, welcome to the first Mr. Barbers podcast. I'd like to introduce you to Paul Davenport, Mark Lovell, and two partners in Mr. Barbers. And over here we have AUBS, who is going to be asking us questions and making it uncomfortable probably.
Yep.
So, AUBS, we'll hand it over to you.
Okay. We wanted to obviously bring you guys in to learn about your journey, I guess, because I feel like we haven't really discovered it that much. So yeah, this is all about you guys today.
Great.
Mark?
Wait, you want me to start?
I guess so, yeah.
Or do you want me to
You
start?
know what? Yeah, I think we should go how the brand has taken off, and obviously Karl was the original. Started everything, so I think he should go first, and then how we got introduced and how everyone sort of come into that. So yeah, Karl, let's go right back from the start.
Right, okay, let's start it. Right, so July 1995. Opened the first shop.
No.
That's great. Yeah, that's
Don't feel
why
old,
my
pal.
hair looks quite grey a bit. Right, so July 1995. Opened the first shop in Saffron Walden. Walked around the chair 6 days a week, 64 hours a week. Cutting hair, and that's what I did. Went on to open a second shop in 2000 in Haverhill with Sam. Again, split my time, 3 days one shop, 3 days the next, just literally cut hair the whole, every hour. Into the third shop in Stansted in 2002. And again, 2 days in each shop every week, still just cutting hair the whole time. But then what was really difficult was trying to run the shops as well as cut hair. It's all well and good being a barber and just walking around the chair, but then when you've got bills to pay and other bits and pieces and licenses and goodness knows what else to do, that became quite
There's only so much you can
tough
do.
to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
And travelling as well. I was travelling around the shops as well.
Family
so
as well. Things like that.
at that point, when I opened the shop in Stansted in 2002, my daughter was born a month later. So that was the
Very,
start of
hefty time.
having a family as well.
Okay.
All the shops at that point were called Men's Room, which, there's just so many shops out there called Men's Room.
Yeah.
So basically, just cracked on with that until 2014. And then the rebrand came out. My wife actually came up with the rebrand, and 20 years of walking through the door of Men's Room, I'd never seen the Mr. in Men's Room.
Yeah.
And it was just Mr. Barbers was born. That was it. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how it evolved, really, and everybody loved the brand.
I didn't actually know that. The Berry shop was the first one.
Berry shop was the first one that was opened as a Mr.
Yeah. And I never actually asked the question of who come up with a name to change it from Men's Room to Mr.
Yeah, that's how it came about. And it was born from there, and from there we just grown and grown.
Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of the reason we brought you guys in today, is to find out these little bits of information that the barbers that work for you, like me, don't really know yet.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to find out these little bits and bobs.
It's funny because I've told the story a million times, but probably not to everybody.
I've heard it a million times.
Yeah, I bet.
You've heard it several million times now, I should think.
Over a few pints at the pub when reminiscing.
Yeah, you don't actually remember it, do you?
Oh, he knows it word for word.
We can do alternate words for the story, and it still works.
When did you get involved then?
So I've been involved since 2016. So I was, I guess my background, I was an engineer up in Manchester, born up in Manchester, wanted to come down to London, came down to London, did 20 years in the city, came out to the city, and I'd known Karl for about 6-7 years at the time through the kids. What Karl was doing was such a breath of fresh air from what I was doing in the city. City was quite cutthroat and not a very friendly place, really. And to come into an environment where he was about trying to grow a family was something that really appealed to me. So, yeah, I got involved with Karl in 2016 when it was 4 shops, I think it was, when I first got involved.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
5 of them were up north, yeah.
And we went crazy and started to open pretty much a shop every couple of months at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
It
that
was
when the
it was
hard
a
work started.
big growth phase.
Yeah.
Did you know from opening the first one that it was going to be such a big franchise and become such a big name? Was that always the goal?
What, in 95?
Yeah, or was
No.
it just
No.
having that freedom?
My dream from probably being about 8 was to have my own barbershop.
Oh my God.
Really weird.
And a good question, actually, Karl. I don't know about actually. So on air, we can discuss going all the way back. Is what actually got you into barbering in the first place as well, right?
That's a funny one. I didn't realise anybody in my family. It wasn't, and my parents weren't hairdressers, barbers, whatever. I really enjoyed having my hair cut as a kid. My brother and I used to fight over.
That's rare.
Yeah. But my brother and I used to fight over who was going first to get the haircut. Not because I wanted to go last. Not because I didn't want to get in the chair. It's because I didn't want it to be over. I wanted it to, because if I went in the chair first, it would be over before my brother's haircut was over. So I really enjoyed having my haircut. It was just, a nice experience for me as a kid. So I liked it. And, I suppose I had a good, the shop that I went into, I enjoyed being in there with the guys anyway. So when I was 13, I think, I did, sort of worked after school every day and every holiday, all day Saturday. Had to stop playing rugby, because just the guy said to me, if you're going to go off and play rugby, I had broken fingers, cracked collarbone, sprained ankle.
Yeah.
He said,
Cauliflower.
when I left, no, I've got big ears, but I haven't got cauliflowers. Thanks, I don't think.
Wow.
But he said to me, you can either go and play rugby, or I'll teach you how to be a barber. And at that point, I thought, well, I'm not good enough to play rugby, so I'll crack on and cut hair.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until the funny story is that I didn't know of anybody in my family that was a hairdresser or barber. But it was only probably, I don't know, talking 10 years ago maybe, that my dad actually told me that his dad he was a farmer, but because there were 2 villages close to it, he used to cut all the guys' hair in the village, in his shed, at the weekend.
It's in the blood.
And then, so it was bizarre. I didn't know that for years, not until probably 10 years ago, that actually somebody, he wasn't a barber,
Yeah.
but he used to cut hair in his shed. That's random.
What about you? Because you said you're engineering.
It's funny. So my journey through barbering has been the complete opposite to Karl's. I used to hate going to the barbershop. I used to give me anxiety that being on the chair and you don't know if the barber's spotted you there's a big queue. You don't know whether you're next or whether you're going to get skipped over. And I used to hate it. So I always used to go to Tony and go and have an appointment and get my hair cut in a hairdresser's.
Yeah.
So I just didn't like the whole barbershop experience. So one of the things I think that worked really well with me and Karl was that, and we used to argue a lot about it in the early days, was I'd come at it from a customer point of view and Karl would come at it from a barber point of view. And what is right for a barber to make you work in a shop isn't always right for a customer.
I think the funniest one that we used to argue about a lot when you first came into the company was you have to sweep, everybody should sweep the hair up in between every haircut.
Oh, really?
I used to hate that. I used to hate going in the barbershop and there used to be hair everywhere. Other people's hair.
Especially on a Saturday. But, different now with appointments and, you're a bit more focused. But, when I used to cut hair in Saffron Walden, I'd be there from 6:45 in the morning on a Saturday. 12 people lined up waiting for me to unlock the door. And I'd probably be the only one who turned up because they're all self-employed. So I kind of turned up when I wanted to. And I'd be swimming in hair by the time anybody else turned up to actually help me out. Just didn't have the time to sweep up.
Yeah, it's a good point though, because I think that's where barbering has actually changed a bit over the last, from when I first come in, which I will get to in a minute, to now, or with appointments, is back then it was just more of a conveyor belt. You'd have people queuing up all day, you're doing 20, 30 haircuts a day. And you didn't really have the time in between. That was just the norm. You just next.
Yeah.
Whereas now,
Keep the hair away a little bit.
I think the standard's better. The time for a haircut takes longer. People want a bit of a better service. So,
but I can imagine it must have been, not being a barber myself and just being on the other side of things. as a barber, when you've got the queue of 20 people there, that must feel like quite a lot of pressure because you've got
massive.
everyone looking at you,
Huge.
everyone kind of looking at the watches.
I've got barbers now who said, because obviously we changed everything over in COVID. COVID changed us as a company massively, and the way we, the way we do things and all the rest of it. But I've had so many barbers when we came out of COVID saying, "Please don't tell me we're just going back to walk-ins. Please
It's
tell me
my
we're
age
keeping."
showing. I've never experienced that. I'm sorry.
Really?
I've only ever experienced a booking.
Oh, you kind of missed out, really. it's a
Just
whole,
imagine
it's
there's
a whole
20 people
different-
there waiting.
It's a whole different world.
Anxiety.
Yeah,
Yes.
but that's exactly the reason they didn't want to go back to walk-ins, because of the anxiety. Because I didn't realise that
Yeah.
I must have handled it
But
quite
you'd also
well. I never used to eat either.
you'd also have that weird situation where it'd be crazy busy at certain times, and then other times during the week
Oh, yeah.
you'd be sat there for 2 hours
Yeah,
and
yeah.
not do a haircut.
Yeah.
the
Whereas
crazy-
with the bookings, you get that spread then, and you're busy all week.
Saturday I used to always find it crazy because you'd come in, there'd be like 10 people waiting on a Saturday, and actually the quietest time, we were only quiet now, would be about 9 o'clock because everyone think it would be really busy now, so everyone would try and get in early for the rush, and then the rush would finish, and then it would have a little lull, and then just crazy for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
But everyone tried to beat that rush. You turn up Saturday with 10 people to wait, because I think people found it competitive. They want to be the first at the door.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, in
yeah.
Haverhill with Cookie, there would be like 6 a.m. you'd get there, wouldn't it,
Yeah,
at times?
yeah.
And there'd still be someone at the door waiting.
Can you imagine that though these days? If you turn up and work and there's already a queue outside when you're opening the door.
I feel really special today. If I like the red carpet. Okay. What do you think has evolutionised the most with running the business? What do you think is the biggest change? For good, I mean.
For good.
Other than, like, the booking
I
system.
think now appointments. It's a lot more. So you don't have that anxiety. You don't have 20 people sitting there looking at your back, thinking, "Hurry up, mate! I've got to, got to take the kids to football or whatever on Saturday
Yeah.
morning." You don't have that pressure anymore because you can split everything out.
It's a lot more relaxing.
It's a lot more
More
relaxing for the
enjoyable.
barbers.
For, for the customers as well, though, because the,
for sure,
the
yeah.
customers are the same. They turn up, they know they've got an appointment, they know that it's only going to take 30 minutes for the whole experience, rather than I'm going to
Sitting
turn
there
up
for
and
2
I
hours.
might be waiting for.
They can sit there
It
for
could be
2,
half a
3
day.
hours.
You
Yeah.
can't just live your life when you need a haircut and it's walk-ins only.
No, I didn't understand why people would wait that long
People still do it
for a
though.
haircut.
Still do the
Yeah.
walk-ins only.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
People flock away from that because I reckon about 80% of people still like doing bookings.
Yeah.
And also, I think the days where I think barbers before could earn more money at times, although actually we get a lot more money for our work now. I think the haircut prices have gone up a lot over the years,
Yeah.
which is good, but that comes with having an appointment, the service is better, the standard is better. But like, you can't knock out the haircuts like you could before on it. So it is just a completely different model. And the positive of it is you can actually have a little bit of I think it's limited that time before where you could come in, do 20, 30 haircuts a day, every day on that crazy grind for 10, 20, 30 years. I don't think there's a career in barbering that long. Some people can do it, but it's pretty hardcore, that is. Whereas now
great.
we can have people that are, got families. But you've got people that can have, families, other commitments, and they can work their schedule around the appointments as well. So it gives you a lot more life-work balance, which is another beauty of it. Like before, barbers would all be pissed off. If there's a queue outside the door, everyone had to be in at the same time. Otherwise, you're letting the team down. Everyone had to finish. Well, they didn't have to, but it, again, caused arguments. If someone had to leave early because they've got something and there's still people walking in, it's just a stressful environment constantly. Whereas now with the appointments, you can run your own diary a little bit as long as everyone communicates. And I think it just makes it better for everyone. So I think as barbering as a whole, I think since COVID, that's helped. And I think as Mr., there's probably many things that have probably helped change our journey over the last
And to be
few
fair,
years.
I think as much as COVID was an absolute eyesore, absolute, it was horrendous, but we came out of it better.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
A lot better. We worked tirelessly behind the scenes
During
while
COVID was hard.
Yeah,
It was
really
busy.
tough.
How do you find that kind of balance with obviously having families and cutting hair, running the business, and making sure everyone's catered to? Because I was saying to Mark earlier, like I can quickly text one of you guys and get a response so quickly. We've got so much to work on.
I only cut hair on a Wednesday morning now.
Yeah.
That's it. because
Yeah.
I just don't have time to
Why do you
do
still
it otherwise.
cut hair?
Because I still enjoy it.
You still enjoy
And
it?
I only look after my regular customers.
Yeah.
I don't go through the booking system. I've got a little black diary that my customers, and they book in way in advance. So I've got some of them probably book the next 4 haircuts.
Yeah, just exclusive.
Just to make sure they can get in with me.
Did you find you enjoy it more because it's like you know the customer so
Yeah,
well?
for me, it's,
and
that's what barbering should be about. You should have a loyal client base that
good
are your friends.
relationship with them.
I know all of them so well. There's probably only 2 of my customers that I haven't cut their hair in excess of 20 years. So, I know them all really well. And funnily enough, Hannah Grigg always used to call it Orange Wednesdays because my customers are getting really old, and of course I'm charging a lot less than the other guys who are doing the younger fellas. So one of those. But
Senior section.
and obviously because I don't take it, all right, because I don't take anyone new on. Unfortunately, my column is
Gradually
getting
get less, yeah.
It's one of those things. But I've got some great friends that I've been cutting hair for years and years.
And for me on it I talk about this quite a lot actually, because customers sometimes ask me that as well, because obviously now we're all really busy doing all this stuff, and then you have to work behind doing the business stuff and trying to grow the business. But when I'm cutting hair, it's almost like a little bit like therapy. Obviously, it can be for the customer, but also for myself, because like you've just mentioned, my phone's going off all day. Like I'm sure all of our phones are going off. We've got lots of other commitments. And when I'm cutting hair, I don't have to worry about anything else. My phone's over there. It's just me and the customer. Again, a bit like Karl. I just have the same few customers that I cut their hair. And we just catch up, talk about generally things that we're both interested in. And I don't have to worry about anything else. So it actually, for me, it's kind of a little bit like a release and therapy, just getting to cut the person's hair. And again, that's also the experience for the customer sometimes as well, where barbering comes in, where we can help discuss things, and that's one of the things where barbering's got better over the years as well, when we've got a bit more time, and you can relate things with the customer a lot more. That's one of the things I love about barbering, really. Just sharing stories. Yeah, you share story. You build a relationship with your clients, right? You share stories.
It's a massive, if people trust you while they're sitting in your chair having a haircut.
I sometimes think that.
I know probably a lot more about a lot of my customers than their wives know. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot
You find out things.
There's a lot of stories shared.
I always say that what's said in the chair stays in the chair.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think customers really appreciate that.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. So we can you can ask yourself a load of questions in one podcast. just do your own random ones. Just check them out there. You don't have to name anyone, but you can just tell us what you know.
There's a lot of stories. I'm not going to divulge yet.
So we didn't crack on with Bark and how Bark got
I
it.
mean, it's like a podcast on itself, I think, the crazy stories. It's like 2 stories in one, or maybe 3 stories. So I started working at Men's Room before it was Mr. Barbers, sweeping the floor with Karl back in the day in Haverhill. So I used to go down there. I didn't really enjoy school, but I loved being at the barber shop. It was like being with the older lads. They would take me under their wings a little bit, sometimes not always positive, but it was positive at the time. But it was really fun, and I loved it. I loved the atmosphere. I really genuinely look forward to going down the barber shop and working. So much so that there was times where I loved having the keys, so I could lock. I think I always wanted to be into business and all that, because I loved it when I got the keys to the shop, right? So back then, the juniors would have to tidy the shop up, clean the shop, lock the shop, and go. And I used to sometimes just wait around late because I want people to walk past and see me locking the shop. I love that. Sam used to send me up sometimes to go, if it'd be late, to go and put a ticket on his car, and I'll sit in his car thinking I'm the rock the car. That's just crazy dreams. I always wanted to be further ahead than where I was, really. And I'll tell you some little stories about Karl, actually, but make it a bit more interesting. When I started to I looked up to Karl a lot because he would, obviously, I think I always wanted to be the boss as well, and Karl was the boss. And there's all different bosses, and Karl was like a boss that was, I enjoyed being around. I enjoyed being around, but he also demanded respect. Like, people don't realise now, even in business in general, it's a lot more relaxed. Back then, it was a lot more strict. So when I first started, we had to wear black, white, or brown clothes, and that was it. No, you couldn't wear anything else. Do you remember that? You had to wear black or white.
I don't remember the brown. Brown's not a favourite colour.
I think maybe once I wore brown and got away with it. Black or white. So we had to wear black and white. And I remember this one day. So all the other bosses and barbers were quite relaxed. Karl was quite strict, especially on money. So if sometimes people would want a hair wash, and none of the other barbers cared, but Karl cared. If I didn't ask everyone who was waiting in the queue if they wanted a hair wash, I'd be in trouble. So if someone sat in his chair and said, "Oh, I want a hair wash as well," because that was my job as the junior to wash their hair before they got in his chair, and then he would dock the extra money, the 50p or whatever, from my wages. And you might look at that cool, but I respected that in the because it taught me a lesson, you know. So then, like,
It's the way I was taught, so it's
and the standard was a lot more strict. It was really fun. It was both things, like I say. So we had loads of fun, loads of things, but it was also where I learned discipline, and I learned about business from them stories of when we worked, and I just loved it. I loved being down there, and I loved the atmosphere. But I knew, like I said, I loved the environment, but I didn't really love cutting hair back then. So I was training up to cut hair. Karl and everyone was training me up, and if I'm honest, it just bored me a little bit. I was a bit, I don't know if I had ADHD or whatever. I just couldn't sit still. I was a bit crazy, right? So like, I loved the atmosphere. Got bored of learning to cut hair, really. And I actually saw an advert for the Royal Marines. And I thought, this looks cool, this looks exciting. And I remember going down and telling them, you know, I was nearly at the end of my training, maybe, or halfway through.
Yeah, you were nearly. Yeah.
And I said, look, it's not for me, really. I'm going to...
So we spent all that time training you, and then you just turn around and go, "Yeah, I'm going to go and join the Marines."
Yeah.
I remember.
And it was a hard day, but I was really sad about it. Everyone was really...
I
yeah.
just remember saying to you, "Look at, you didn't look like you do now.
Yeah.
You were a skinny little 16-year-old."
Yeah, everyone laughed at me, and that was one of the other metaphors.
Oh, and you'll be back.
Yeah,
You'll
everyone
be
said I'll be back. It's like, what you doing? Like, my mum was like, "Are you crazy? What you like? What you know?" Everyone just laughed. They just thought it was a thing. But I just had this passion that I wanted to do things, and I wanted to run around, and I just didn't want to be in one place. So I went off, joined the Royal Marines, and then done private security work, and then done lots of things, which is probably need another podcast to discuss. I lived a completely different life, completely separate from barbering. And then one day, obviously, all that finished. I wanted to come away, and I wanted to go back to living a normal life. I felt like maybe I got the bug out of me, you know, and I wanted to have a bit more normal life, settle down, have a family. And obviously, I always kept in contact with everyone back then, Karl. And I remember just sitting back down at the barber shop because my girlfriend at the time was Kerry, worked at Men's Room. This is still when it was Men's Room. So I said, "Oh, maybe I'll just go back into barbering for it." And there were my mates down there. I was sitting down there. All my friends would just come and hang out in the barber shop. And then I think people probably laughed again then. So what? Like, going from security and Royal Marines back into barbering. But that's what happened. And again, I struggled really bad with that. As in, I didn't enjoy the training. I found it really awkward and hard because I come from this industry where I was kind of at the top doing really well to back down right at the bottom at 30 years old. Maybe a bit younger, 28, I think, maybe when I come back. Sort of, and that's a weird transition, sweeping the hair and kind of being an apprentice when I was off doing all this other crazy stuff. And I remember though, I stayed disciplined to it. So I wasn't getting paid any money because the payment was the guys in the shop was training me. So like their training would train me up to become the barber again. And out of respect, I just worked in the shop 6 days a week. And that's one thing I'm proud of to this day. So I didn't have to be there, but I've worked in the shop 6 days, every day, trying to get haircuts in while everyone would train me back up. And that's kind of what happened. And then Men's Room opened the Mr. Barbers in Bury. They obviously knew I was very ambitious from the way I talk, and you can probably tell, I talk a lot. So I said one day I wanted to own the shop, and they already had this idea. I don't really know how they come up with the idea initially. With maybe they wanted to start a thing. Everyone liked the Men's Room, and then when it went to Mr. And they said, "Well, why don't you take over the Bury shop?" And that's how it kind of started in a way, innit? We went to Mr. It wasn't really a franchise there. It was just like just seeing if it worked.
Yeah.
We sort of licensed the shop to me. I brought the shop.
Did you feel like you were kind of thrown in the deep end?
Well, I was, but self-inflicted. Like I wanted it. It wasn't like they threw me in the deep end. We both wanted it, right? So they
Yeah.
wanted it. I was someone that was just brave enough to go for it. I mean, I owned the berry shop and I couldn't even cut hair.
Do you think it's
know,
that confidence that made things better?
Self-belief.
Definitely be like having to just go and do it, and then going back to people talking. I remember people to be like, "Oh, what's he can't even cut hair. He owns a shop," and I hear the noise and stuff like that, and that just used to inspire me even more.
drives you on, yeah.
Let's see in 2 years.
There's
Let's see
two
in
types
3
of people,
years.
isn't it? Like
You know?
it can either knock you down or make you
Yeah.
go 10 times harder.
You improve on
and it was hard.
Yeah.
Trust me, like I didn't, and I was because I remember they used to always say I'll pass them like the ice bucket. 'Cause when I was training back up at 28, I just felt awkward. I'd have like guys coming in cutting their hair, and I was meant to be this sort of tough kind of security guy back into this sort of fragile like lad who doesn't really know how to cut hair. I'm trying to cut hair. I want to be really good. And they used to always take the piss and say like, "I'll pass them like the ice bucket because I'll go all red and blotchy," and like, I hated it. And I remember like, but I just knew I'm someone that never quit. You know, so I'm never going to quit. I'm going to do it anyway. And that's really how it started. We got the berry shop, and then every year for 6 years. We got another shop. So in 6 years, we had 6 shops together as a franchisee. Back then, we just rolled out the shops. Obviously, I liked what was going on, and then it's kind of gone full circle. Now, lucky enough, I'm involved in the Mr. Brand with Karl and Paul, and we're going to take it forward. You know, in a that management side of it, I guess now.
And what was a week ago or two, you guys found out you're up for an award.
Yeah, it's
Model
yeah.
Barbers
Yeah,
next month. How does it feel to kind of have that validation from?
It's
That
amazing.
side of
I
it.
remember going to. Was it Birmingham? Birmingham.
Yeah,
we went to
Birmingham,
for
yeah. At the exhibition centre, yeah.
hairdressers. Who was it? The
That was Modern Barber
national,
Awards,
no,
wasn't it?
no, that was the National Hairdressers Federation.
Oh, yeah.
Awards. We had a table there, and we won business leader there. I actually cried.
Pre-COVID,
Yeah, so right.
that was validation of everything, wasn't it?
There
All
was.
that years,
There
all that, yeah.
Lots and lots of hard work.
It hits different.
Then we won business leader again with Modern Barber Awards back in. I can't remember what year that was. A long time ago.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah, definitely pre-COVID. In London, you know, it's an amazing thing to. You know, I mean, to be fair, you're up for a nomination
Yeah.
as well, aren't you, AUBS?
Yes.
That's what you were asking. Just to see
They
if
get
you want
that
to just
message.
talk about
Chuck
me.
it straight back at you.
No, nothing about me, nothing about trim for AUBS.
No, but do you think having that sort of, I don't really like calling it validation, not in a negative way, but having that sort of accomplishment, do you think that helps you get through COVID? And did you ever have any doubts when COVID kind of hit?
No, I don't really. You know, to be fair, it's lovely to have the awards and they sit in the office proudly on a shelf. I can't remember the last time I dusted them. But it's nice to have them, but it doesn't make me. I'm not out there for awards all the time.
No.
It's not about me. That's, you know, it's we want to help other people. That's
Individually, what do you think's everyone's biggest motivation for getting everything you do and carrying on?
For me personally, I love, and I guess that comes from the military background. I love being a part of something in the military. So in the Royal Marines, the ethos is everywhere, you know, and it's being part of the team. You know what you stand for, and feeling that sense of community. And then when I left, I lost that, and I really struggled for a few years, and I knew as part of Mister. If I wanted to, because there was always a point where we were all discussing things all the time, you know, like there was no guarantees that I was always going to carry on with Mister, and you know, like as we've gone through, and we might even get through it in this podcast, you know, there's been loads of changes. People have come and gone, and it's not always been perfect. But when we've sat down and had the proper deep talks of what we're going to do and what is the goal, in the back of my mind, it was always if we can build a team and create opportunities for people from the bottom up. That's what I want to be involved in, and to do that, you need to be around good people, and you need to have, you need to all be in sync with that end goal and be brave enough to deliver that goal, right? And that was why I stayed in, and I think what hopefully the goal is between us all now is what we want to see. So my biggest thing I'm most proud of within the company is at least 3 of my apprentices that started with me I now own shops with. And Karl and Paul could probably tell you stories of the people they've nurtured from apprentice and to now owning shops with. And sometimes you get stung with that. You know, sometimes you put a lot into someone and then they go off and do their own thing, and that's completely fine because everyone can be. You know, we've all got our own goals and that's fine. But I never wanted to lose that point of Mr. Barbers. You know, like to have that where we create opportunities from the person who comes in and sweeps the floor all the way up to someone who wants to get involved and open a shop. They need to want to be part of the team, right?
This is exactly the same for me, basically. Just wanted to create a platform for people to be able to do what they want to do. You are a great example of that because you love doing what you do. So we asked you to come and interview us, basically. You know, so there's, you know, people who want to work on stage, people who want to have their face in magazines. I don't want to have my face in a magazine. It's never. I don't like it. You know, it's not about me. It's not about me. It's why it's called Mr., not Karl's Barbershops. You know, I've never wanted to have my name above the door. You know, yeah, and co. You know, yes, it was never about me and me having my anything anywhere.
You just want to live up to what you wanted to do when you were younger.
Even sitting here or something. You know, do I have to go and do a podcast? I think it's important to tell the story. So don't get me wrong. It's great. It's great.
That's our thumbnail.
But we now have a fantastic platform. You know, we're in touch with big people in the industry about moving on and doing stuff. We're going to, you know, potentially do a bit more education. We can give people a platform to do it. Mm-hmm. You know, when the place is open in Whittam, there'll be an opportunity for people to come in. You know, self-employed, just rent, you know, use the space that we've got, and you know, just put a day on. A couple of them could do it together. You know, I've been talking to barbers who just want to, you know, just love it. They just love, you know, they want to do photo shoots or, you know, there's so much to be done in the industry.
It's never just cutting hair.
I just, you know, I'm a good barber, but I still just only enjoy, you know, I just want to cut my customers' hair.
Yeah.
You know,
Some
there's
people
so
think
many.
it's just cutting hair and then, oh, you're going to open up a shop one day. Yeah. But it's not just like it's
not just about
magazines, stage work.
Yeah.
Lifestyle to it all, right?
It's a lifestyle, it's not just a job.
But we give people the platforms. My marketers, you know, people swept around it, you know, same as he did, swept the floor around my feet, and now look at it. You know, it's lovely to see that progression with people, and I really, you know, I buzz off of that. That for me is
It's an investment, isn't it?
Well, we're growing at the same time as them growing, so you know everybody's helping each other out. But to see that first person open their first shop, you know, AUBS, you know, when AUBS opened the shop in Wellington, you know,
I mean, he started from.
Oh, unbelievable!
Yeah.
You know, moved to the country
That's going to be a whole
after 2.5 years.
podcast, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
after
going to be a
2.5
big
years,
one.
he's then opened his own. You know, after moving from Cyprus, he's opened his own shop. You know, and I'm on FaceTime with his mum the day it opened, and she's like, "Oh, thank you so much for everything you've done for him." But I haven't done anything. I've just helped him. He's done it
You've
himself.
seen something in
We just
him.
provide the platform to
the guy's
people to
incredible.
reach their potential.
Yeah.
It is just, you know, we're a platform for help.
But it's not just cutting hair. I mean, you guys are heavily involved in Modern Barber, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean,
The meetings and
sort of
things,
focus group and-
business stages.
Yeah.
Your
actually.
next month business stage.
Yeah, I haven't said yes yet, but I'm likely to.
Okay, we'll edit that out.
They're great things. It's another one of those things.
It's not about me.
You know, I don't want me to sit on the stage. I could talk you into it or talk Mark into it. But I think we're going to go down there because we're going to go to the awards anyway. So I wasn't going to hang around on Monday, but I probably will just to do that.
I know Karl's talked about it, but I think one of the things I really enjoy about being in this business is to be able to work with people like Karl and Mark, who are. It is genuinely about the people in the business. I know a lot of companies say it, and they kind of make out that they're this kind of all they care about is the people who work for them, and it really is about that in that business. And to see the youngsters come through, because so many barbershops, there's nowhere to go. You work in a barbershop and you go in, you cut hair, you come home, and there's no career progression. It's really hard to kind of do anything to change what you're doing. Whereas we give all the barbers any opportunity that we have or any desires they have, we will try and work around that to provide that. And when you see people grow and you see people blossom, it's just such an amazing feeling for us as a business that we've allowed. We haven't. we've essentially just created the platforms for them to do it. They've done all the work, but we give them a place where they can do it and where they can feel safe to push themselves.
We give them a facility that, we can get them into all these places.
I think that's
Like
where we
little
all
bits of
get so
advice.
much of the joy from it is just seeing that through. And with any business, I always believe if you're doing things for the right reasons, then that business will do well. And Mister's done well on the back of we've done everything based around the people that work with us, the people that are involved in the business.
Facilitating people.
And that makes it genuine and it makes it real. And it's just a great environment to be in.
Do you guys want to talk about any like long-term goals or short-term goals or any?
Take over the world.
Yeah, cool.
Something I'd like to talk about, I don't know if these two are answered it so we can edit it out afterwards, but so something I'd like to talk about is, because this was before I was involved in the brand side of it, Mr. Barbers obviously started, it was great, and then it went really good, really fast, as in we got to maybe 20 shops, we went from like say 10 shops to 20 shops probably in...
Up to 30 shops at one point.
within a couple of years, okay, and I think these stories is really good because people like to know the good and the bad, and then obviously things went wrong because we lost some of the shops, we lost some of the franchise, some of the guys who come on board only taking on franchises, they moved on, and we went back down to. I don't know, what did we go back down to?
We halved 30 down to 50.
Half the shops within a 6-month period, through many discussions and stuff like that. Obviously, I was involved with discussions on the other side of the fence then. And I would like to know if you're happy to talk about what you've learned from that, why you think it happened, what went wrong and what went right and all that sort of stuff.
Can I tell that one? Go on, yeah. Can I start that one?
There you go.
So after the early successes in the business and how well the first 8 to 10 shops were doing, it brought a lot of attention and a lot of people who wanted to come and join the franchise and come on board as the business. And we got excited about the opportunity to grow really quickly, and we just grew too quickly. We took on too many franchisees that weren't the right people for the business. We took on too many barbers that weren't the right barbers for the business. I think we had a focus that back then on wanting to really grow the business, and to do that, we wanted high-profile barbers in the business, and we wanted to have those names that would help us raise the image of the business. But a lot of high-profile barbers aren't necessarily the people you actually want working in your shops. It was disruptive. It caused a lot of problems, and we ended up with we had 30 shops, and within those 30 shops we had 100 really strong opinions on what we should be doing differently as a brand. Yeah. So Karl and I, it was just non-stop.
It was
fielding issues, problems,
horrendous, and it was a tough environment. When you're building shops and you're building shops that quickly, and you're basically they're all self-employed. They come in, they want to do their own thing. They can, effectively. But also at the same time, what you're building is, even though those guys are all self-employed, what you're building is a nice atmosphere. You can't just take on, say you open a shop and you just want to fill 4 chairs to pay your rent and pay your bills, right? But if you want to do that, and then you've got 3 really nice barbers in there, all get on really well, really good with the customers, want to work hard, want to earn their money, want to do all that, and then you just want to fill that 4th chair, and you fill it with somebody that's not the same.
Yeah.
Let's just say somebody that's not the same, just to fill the chair. You end up with, and Mark said it a million times, just toxic. You get somebody in there who is just doing their own thing, swearing, turning the music out, all that kind of stuff. So to build a shop it's not just as easy as, just filling the chairs with any old random barber, and that's what we did.
Well, if you value those
Really.
3 barbers, you can't disrupt that piece.
No. You're better off not filling that chair and just
It
eventually
creates
finding that person.
anxiety, and it's like, I'm self-employed, I'm going to have a day off because that guy's being a knob.
Yeah.
It's like a chain reaction.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt it.
And then you lose, and then good barbers go and rent a chair somewhere else because they don't want to work next
And they're
to
not
that.
being listened to.
So even though everybody is self-employed, to try and to try and grow the way we did and get those high-profile Instagrammers, and all that kind of stuff was just...
The business became a bit of a beast that just controlled us, didn't it?
was
Rather than us
horrendous.
running the business, it was running us.
Yeah.
How long was this period?
Too
roughly?
long. Way too long.
It was too long.
3 years.
I used to turn up to, we'd have meetings with
Free.
all the franchisees would turn up and it would be a mess.
Oh, it's the most negative
It was
place
like
you
everyone had their
ever been.
opinions, everyone would want their say, and that's fine. Obviously, everyone can be valued and have an opinion, but it was
You'd have certain,
toxic.
you'd have certain barbershops that would want to slag off other barbershops
Yeah.
within the business.
What they're doing right, what they're doing wrong. So,
and
so
it
what
was
changed?
just
So
a
what
puzzle.
changed it? What was the turning point? Do you think that then got you back on track?
Carl and I got to the point where our lives were being run by the 160 barbers that were in the franchise. And we got to the point where Carl and I almost couldn't even speak to each other because
couldn't
of
look
the
at each other.
pressure, the stress, we were doing crazy hours every week and there just didn't seem any upside. And we sat in the office one day and we were both in tears about where the situation got. And we made the decision that the business was about growing a family, creating that environment for people, and that we needed to focus back on that. And to do that, we needed to get rid of the problems. So it was a really tough decision when you work really hard to build it to 30 shops, to make that decision that you're going to take it back to 15 is... And because it almost feels like you're being a failure because you've only got 15 shops,
You're
whereas you had
regressing.
13 shops. But it was the best thing we ever did.
So we had, when we sat in the office that day, it was a Tuesday, couldn't look at each other. And we had somebody who was helping us in the business at the time, very good friend. And I just messaged her and said, have you got time for a call? And she came on a Zoom. And I said to her, look, you've worked with us for long enough. I won't mention her name, but she knows who she is. And I said, what would you do with our business if it was yours? And she said, I'd throw a match at it and start again.
Shock.
That was
That hit.
tough. That was really tough.
Because that's someone else's point of view with no bias, I'm guessing.
But she was absolutely right.
Yeah.
And
Best
it's
thing
the
we ever did.
Best thing we ever did.
How
as
did
a business.
you...
And it really was.
And,
and I something I taught.
Goosebumps.
Unbelievable.
And I
Best
remember
thing
the
ever.
conversation.
I had 2 weeks I couldn't talk to anyone.
And you know what why that flipped it it flipped it for me as well, wanting to be part of it even more as well, because I'm a man of principles and I believe being brave gets you to where you want to be. And I remember then you sitting down with myself and you told me this is what we want going forward, because everyone was kind of on, if we're honest, maybe slightly different deals or whatever to try and keep everyone happy, like there was it was just a mess. And I remember you saying, look, this is what we want. This is what we want to create, this is what we want, and this is what we're going to do. And when you actually stopped negotiating with it and actually said, then I respected you much more, because I was like, well, that is how it's meant to be, like that's what I wanted as well, because that's, again, I guess from a military background, there was just black and white, the structure of it. And I could get behind that, because then your values were in line with my values. And then I just think being brave enough to have them tough conversations and doing the thing that to other people might even look like a failure always wins in the end. So the best thing I've ever done with my barbershops is sat down, and obviously I definitely won't mention names, but sat down with my two most talented barbers, I'd say, and moved them on. And people would say, oh, what, you're going to get rid of whoever. And I'll say, yeah, because they are disruptive to the team. Because what if it's all about one person? As a shop, you need multiple people all pulling in the same direction. If one person's rowing in the other direction, or whatever you want to call it, it's so hard for other people to grow. And I used to, a bit like on a smaller scale, what they're talking about, I used to go in some of my shops and feel awkward about going in my own shop because I knew there'd be some confrontational, egotistical barbers that were going to always go back at me about things when I'm just trying to help and build the shop to what's good for everyone, because it doesn't suit the individual. And I got rid of at least two, probably over the last few years, a bit more, barbers, moved them on, and the shops have always thrived. I mean, Sudbury, where you work at now, AUBS, I mean, we didn't move them barbers on, but just to show that you'll always be all right if you do the right things, is we lost all the barbers, didn't we? Because they all went and opened their own shop, and we were left with Dylan, who's just started, and you were an apprentice at the time, and that was it. And it was like, what? I remember having a conversation with someone that said, "What are you going to do? You're going to close the shop down?" And I'm like, "No, everything will always be all right if you just do the right things, and get good people around you." And it's gone. Like, the shop's now amazing, and you're amazing, and everyone's grown and been great.
You're amazing. Look at that. Look at that.
But it's true, right? So, like, if you work with the good people, it always works.
But there's nothing worse, though, is there? And we had it with a number of our shops where you would hate going in. It's your own shop. You put all your love, effort into it, but you actually hate going into
time on the road, driving between negative shop to negative shop, and
it was horrible.
It was awful. I used to hate, some lovely country roads going out there, go out there, have a nice drive on a sunny day, but it was just negative.
I mean, a perfect example. We're doing this podcast now, which is great, and hopefully we're going to get loads of our barbers to come on, and it's really good, and we can really provide that platform. If we'd done this 3 years ago, when this goes out, there would have half of them would have been like, "What the hell are they doing?" No one was part of the team, were they? Like, that's rubbish, whereas now,
so
people will get behind it, and we'll all back each other, and that's the
Yeah, but it's that sort of negativity that makes me think, do you even like your job? Do you know what I mean? Because if you have this much negativity
Or do
in
you
your
even
job,
like yourself?
yeah, true, yeah.
Yeah. I feel with people that are that negative about their passion, which is supposed to be barbering, like, what else are you negative about? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we changed how we approached bringing people into shops as well. Because I think in the early days, it was about getting really good barbers in, and barbers who kind of had that profile and were really good at cutting hair, and we'd end up with toxic situations that would disrupt the whole shop. Whereas now, it's the approach that you can't make a good barber be a good person, but you can teach a good person to be a good barber. So it's more about getting the right type of people into the shop. So if you can get the good people in that want to do the right thing, and we can train them to be barbers.
How did you guys, I don't know if you want to move on or not, how did you whittle it down to the,
Get rid of the shops.
like, regressing pretty much? And how long was the process? Because I feel like this is
We were very
interesting.
clear we sat down and we decided what we wanted to do as a business and what we wanted our shops to look like. And we then went to all the shops, we went to all the people involved with, this is how the future's going to look.
And you've got 3 choices.
Yeah,
What were the 3 choices?
Basically, we didn't, when we sat in the office that Tuesday and we couldn't even look at each other, it's because it was costing us money to keep the business open. Not we were earning money out of it. It was costing us money to go through all of the
pain.
Pain, real pain.
I'm sorry, was this pre or post-COVID?
This was
Or during?
during COVID.
Oh my God.
So we basically gave them 3, just the way that we run, the franchise business, because it was licensed, it was a set fee. We changed that so that it's now percentage. So the 3 choices were, the last one was, if you don't like either of the first 2, do one.
And I
You're
think
off.
for me, looking
And that
at
was
it,
it.
I
And the
think
amount
you
of people
already
sat there
yeah,
and
but
said, but no, I want to continue as it is. No, that's not the option.
So I think looking at it from, obviously back then I was the outside in, is I think what you've done is you come up with what you wanted, which was completely correct and what needed to happen, but then you knew that the people that were disruptive wouldn't want to go on to the new deal anyway. So you kind of, like, you don't have to get rid of someone. If you just do, at the end of the day, if you run the business how you need to run the business, and then the people that don't want to get in line with that were going to leave anyway. So it wasn't like no one got rid of anyone. It was just like, this is how you need to structure it.
There was some very
if you don't want to be in line with it, then I suppose you won't. And I don't think people were a little bit shocked, but I think that was the turning point where you have to be brave enough and have conviction to say, no, this is what we want to do.
You have to believe in yourself, don't you?
Definitely. And you have to
that's
believe
it.
as well.
And adapt.
Yeah, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
Totally. And now we're smiling.
And it's
Now you're
and it's
laughing.
changed the whole dynamic of everything, of the business,
I now don't have to drive and go over and see a shop where there's negativity.
For a negative reason.
Yeah, I just don't have to do it anymore.
No.
Every time I go into a shop, I love going into a shop because there's nice people working in there.
And there's still struggles and problems at times.
there's still issues, of course there are, yeah.
It's like that business,
Yeah.
right? But the
Yeah.
whole concept of it, you don't feel that awkward. yeah, that awkward bit.
No, there's, we've just got rid of the negative side. So, anybody coming in now, it's just,
Feeling more
this is a
vigilant as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think it's really helped us, though. I think by having that, and I'm going to call it a failure because we did fail at that time. But I think having that and living through it and then turning it around has just made the business a better place. I think if the business had never had those struggles, I'm not sure we'd be where we are now.
We've properly learned from our mistakes.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, you're at such a high.
Yeah. So now we know that we can go on, open more shops. We'd even talk to people, in this country as well as outside who haven't necessarily worked with us before. We talk to people abroad if they want to take on the brand and they believe in our ethos, then, that's what we want to do. It's still a great brand. It's great people in it. There's opportunities for people.
Everything has massive, though. Everything's not always perfect as well. I mean, we have a really good model. We have really good people with us, but there are shops go through cycles. People want to move on. People want to do different things, and we are continuing to learn every day. Really, there's new things, but as long as we stick to our core values as what we want to do as people and as a business, then the business will always continue to grow and continue to do well.
Yeah.
Should we have a break? And then
Yeah, I want to talk a bit about one of the things you asked about earlier, and it kind of fits in a little bit around with the shops at the moment, is about evolution and how has the business and barbering changed and evolved in the time we've been in it. One of the things that has made a huge difference for us is to actually have data. And I know that's not a very barbering thing, but
No,
to
it's a
actually
business thing, isn't
to
it?
be able to look
That's
and
one
to be
thing
able
you
to
help with me and Karl with the.
what it does allow us to do is we can see quickly if there's potentially a problem in a shop or there's a problem with a barber, and because we see the number of haircuts, we see the money everyone's taking, we have that oversight. It shows sooner in the numbers than necessarily in the person in the shop. So if someone's struggling, you actually notice it in their numbers earlier than you do perhaps with how they're behaving in the shop, and that then allows us to help those people at an early stage.
Yeah.
So we can avoid things becoming an issue or a problem at a much earlier point than we would be able to do otherwise.
It's interesting. I don't think a lot of people know that that's included. Because you've got such a high volume of employees.
we're continually monitoring
You
it.
need
We
the
have called it,
statistics.
since Paul came into the business, we've always called him Mr. Spreadsheet.
Fair.
But he's amazing at spreadsheet.
Do my taxes.
I can now do simple ones, but
And he is converting us because I'm definitely a dinosaur.
I
and I remember when
always said you can't run a barbershop from a spreadsheet.
and he would send me all this information forward.
You can.
You can.
and I'd be like,
Not
I'm
totally,
not
but,
really
but you can certainly see what's going on.
And then I used to say even before it was a couple of years ago, Paul, can I have just a call with you? And it was like, can you make me a spreadsheet for this? And that, 'cause after a while, I loved the data. I didn't know how to create it, but
Now you
I
still
love
have
seeing
AI.
all the data and everything.
There used to be AI.
It's getting replaced. But I think it really does help us with just spotting things early, and it helps us to make sure that everyone's kind of fulfilling their potential. So we can see where a barber has the opportunity to do more cuts, make more money, and if that's what's driving them, then we can help them through the data as well to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm. So obviously, there is quite a few franchises within the whole barbering world, hairdressing world. What do you think separates Mr. as owners apart from everyone else and what everyone else is doing individually?
Yes, I think from my standpoint is that I wouldn't say what separates us from other sort of franchises and the bigger brands, but certainly from the independent sort of everyday barbershop. I think we've already talked about a lot of it, where we build with people, try and open doors. We have the connections with the magazines and all these things that if someone has got a talent, it's going to get recognised. That we can provide the platform for them. But then bigger than that for me is to try and then I think a lot of the message that we talked about, it's bigger than just us. So building community, and that goes further than just us as a barbershop, how can we impact people further? And then one of the big things that we started doing it a one-off, but it seems like it's going to be an annual thing.
Won't be. This is the last. This is my last one.
Me and Karl said it's the last. Well, Karl said it's the last one the first time, and this is going to be the third.
Yeah.
Is we do a charity walk now every year, and we started off in the Cotswolds, 100k walk, and we all
In 24
underestimated
hours.
it. Yeah, so we did it in 24 hours. We thought that's the cut-off line. And it's actually really funny because me and Karl probably talk about this now. Me and him always argue a lot with it. I normally try to slow him down at times.
And I have to speed him up.
Really, he just wants to get it
He
done.
might be a Marine, but he's quite slow.
I care about getting everyone to the finish line.
As do I, but you've got to do it in the time.
yeah.
There's a 24-hour thing. You have to have a cut-off.
Otherwise, no medal.
And I'm really good at making us come in at 23:45. So that's all. So 23:45.
He's really good as long as I drag him through a few bits a little bit faster.
Yeah, a bit of a nudge.
So yeah, so
We do it together.
Yeah, so it's a Cotswold walk. Anyway, so we set it up 2 years ago, and it was just like a random thing. In fact, I remember we were all looking for something to do, and we found that, and we just done it. And what I found on it, again, that kind of gave me another bit of fire to what I enjoy. Back from my military days, I guess, it was that community, even the training walks, we'd all meet up and we'd go on training walks, and it gives you that time to, again, discuss things, switch off from the world. And we went and done the walk, and it was so much more challenging than I thought, because it like 24 hours, ups and the down, the terrain. I think it caught a lot of us out. It was really hot the first one, and we got through it. And then at the end, you kind of built more of a connection and community again through people. And against the bigger picture, we raised lots of money for charity. The first one, what was the charity of the first one?
It was Alzheimer's.
Yeah, so we raised lots of money, and then we done men's
Final
health
program,
charity the following year. And then it's going to be an annual thing now, which I'm going to try and get more and more people to come and do it every year.
You don't have to do the 100k this
No,
year.
so yeah.
We are doing it 100k, 50k, or a 25k. So it's a little bit more inclusive for people.
So we're breaking it down. We've got team leaders
Don't
for the
wanna do it in the
25,
nighttime.
the 50, and the 100, and it just. We raise money for charity and just doing them little extra things. I think sometimes if you own your own little barbershop, or maybe not little, if you own your own independent barbershop, then you can easily get bogged down with running the business and just cutting hair and all these other things that you might have these goals to go and do or build. It gets really hard to do because you can't do everything. But now we're in a fortunate position where we're partners in the brand. We've got a team, and we can oversee, and we can try and build doing these events. So I think that is the biggest thing that we can help provide. It's not just a barbershop. It's, can we do community events now? Can we do charity work now?
Yeah.
Can we do stage work for the people that want to do it? Can we offer opportunities and provide an impact outside of just our individual shops and as a brand? And
Well, I work in the shop, like, as a barber, from my point of view, 5 days a week, sometimes 6. But even though I'm in the shop and then sometimes making content, which I can be bothered, I don't ever feel stagnant. But I think that's because you guys, as leaders and as owners, have made it so we as barbers, me personally, we don't feel stagnant. We don't feel like, I'm going to be cutting hair for the next 10 years. Do you know what I mean? Because you always are there to give out opportunities or
progression. I think everyone wants progression.
because you like not investing your money, investing in people, which, do you know what I mean? Time is money. And I think we've shown that countless times, and we have an awards night every year, don't we? Which I think people drink less and less every year. So I
Some do.
think, yeah.
The awards night, that's a good point though, because the awards night have changed so much. I think as we've developed as a brand, the
It's
awards
evolved the
nights
same
have
way,
changed so much as a brand as well.
Oh God, it's a positive place to be now.
Yeah,
isn't it? It's a really
exactly.
positive
I mean, if I go back to even the works parties like years ago, and that they've changed so much over the time. And I think 5 years ago, when we do our awards night, because there was this toxic culture that we talked about, and then when everyone gets together, and then there's alcohol in the mix and everything else,
Then somebody wins an award, and you're seeing people in the background going, "Why did they win that award?"
The environment then can go from a celebration of an awards night to again it coming away with a
brawl.
negative vibe from it. Whereas now
Good.
it's all positive. People look forward to the award announcements, and
And the
they back
annual-
each other. And I think one of the things that we loved this year as we got together going through, so every year we have the awards and we do the nominations, and we allow our barbers and our owners to recommend people for the awards as well. It's not just about us, like I say, we give that out. And one thing that I think we loved, and I definitely loved, was how the barbers, even from their people, nominate people from outside of their own shops. You know, whereas before it was all like my shop and that's it. Whereas now,
with people in Enfield nominating people in Thetford.
yeah.
And you
they
love
couldn't-
that.
They were the
Yeah.
furthest away.
Well, Ashton was in my category and voted for me.
Yeah.
I didn't realise.
Exactly, things like that shows we've gone full circle, and then again that shows what I think is about now. And I think getting back to the original question, it's just another thing that we offer, that we can celebrate people's who have done well at the annual awards night every year.
We always have a banner up that says "Celebrating Successes." That's what the awards are about. It's all about.
Whether you're sweeping hair still,
It doesn't matter. It doesn't
Or-
matter. It's just
becoming a franchise.
Positive.
person.
I think if you look at the overall business now, how it's evolved over the last 6 years, health and well-being has become such a big part of the business. And I think that's really made a difference in the whole culture of the business, that there's such a focus on trying to support everyone's health and well-being, and that just makes a much more positive environment.
No, definitely.
So you came in 2016. Where did you think it was going to go, and how does that differentiate from where it is now? Positive, negative?
Yeah, so I think when I first got involved with Karl way back then, we always had the ambitions to make it a national brand, and maybe beyond that, and maybe even an international brand. And we've learnt a lot on the way, but I think we're really now at a point where we're in a position to do that in a very healthy way. I think we have a growth plan where we want to get to 50 shops in the next 5 years, and beyond that. So I think it's heading in the direction that we always wanted it to. We've just had a few blips along the journey.
Well, with your spreadsheets, I'm sure you'll be fine. What about you, Karl?
Yeah, pretty much the same, really. When Paul came in and invested in the business and we kind of exploded and just opened shops everywhere, we did a lot of it the wrong way. So we've learned a lot. The negativity is gone now. So now that we've flushed
what's
that
crazy?
out, it's all positive.
I didn't experience the walk-ins only, and I didn't experience any of the negativity because I was like just the baby when I
Come in
started.
the
Well, that's,
Thanks, guys. Getting it out of the way for me.
Yeah.
We've also learnt a lot, and this was something that was a painful experience. Actually, was we've learnt a lot about what makes the right location, the right venue, the right size of barbershops, because we had big ambitions in the early days, and we opened a lot of kind of flagship barbershops in quite expensive towns on the high street, and they were the biggest challenges out of all the shops we opened. So I think we're much better positioned now that we know exactly what location, what shop will be successful. So
And at that point as well, we had just opened loads of shops and literally driving around trying to make sure that everybody's okay and
So
what we
that's
got,
one of
what
the
we need.
biggest differences for you.
Yeah, for me that was massive.
Going
And
forward.
I even worked in the shop that we had in Loughton. I
Yeah.
worked in that one for 3 months every day, which was an hour drive from the house either way. Worked from beginning to end every day just to try and make it work. And in the end I just said, sorry,
It's not working.
it's too big, it's too expensive, it's just not, even though it's improving, it's just not going to be quick enough.
So if you obviously had the facilities, would you be interested in, say you had, 2-3 chairs? If you had the facilities, would you be happy to expand a shop with literally knocking down a wall and putting more chairs in,
Yeah,
the bigger it gets, if it had the
yeah.
foot traffic?
Yeah.
See that sort of
Yeah.
thing happening?
I think we're really good now. We know what will make a good shop, so we can go into a town and we will know what the right venue is, what the right place is, and we know it will be successful. But we can go into another town and know it won't work.
Yeah, but if
So I
you
think
had a shop that was already a 4-chair shop and the place come up next door and you wanted to put another couple of chairs in, we'd say, yeah, you can go for it here,
Yeah,
or
because it's
I wouldn't do
established
that.
as well.
Well, we've done it before. We had Braintree. Braintree was a 3-chair shop.
Yeah, we
it
moved
was
it next
it was
door.
just so busy. We couldn't get it. we couldn't get any more chairs in because of the size of the shop, so we moved two
next
doors
door
down
and
or whatever it
five
was,
doors,
and
right next door.
and then
Just
five chairs. So we
spacey.
five
yeah.
chair
It's
shop.
lovely,
Yeah,
yeah.
lovely shop. Yeah.
And I think that's another great lesson that we've learned along the journey is you can't skip the process, right? Like that you're not going to win. Like so from looking at it from the outside, so when Paul come in and then there was this big boom, and all the lessons that we've spoke about that we learned is, if I'm being honest, it was like we'll just chuck money. And I understand it from both points of view. We had 10 successful shops. So from the outside, I think, well, this works. Like if we just chuck money at this and just multiply we can't lose, right? But you in anything, we can't skip that process. So we can't just take shortcuts into it. And I think that's the biggest thing we learned now. So like Paul was talking about, we know the location, that we know what we need, we know what numbers we need who we need, and that's what's going to make us successful, right? Because otherwise, before you can't just chuck money at everything and then just hope, it's all suddenly going to work. And then I think that's the biggest lesson that we have to learn, and we have to be honest with ourselves,
I do remember a few years ago. Do you remember when the pissed off barber put something on his story about Mr. Barbers was built by, and there was a picture of a load of guys out there with guns over their shoulders.
Yes, I remember
what did it say? Hedge fund money built Mr. Barbers or whatever. Well,
hard work did.
Yeah, hard work built.
Yeah, and that's why we've gone back to our roots. We're doing it.
And at that point, it would have looked that way.
Yeah.
And we did things wrong, but.
But you did it without wearing a mask on your face the whole time.
Yes, that's very true.
So,
that is very true. And we can leave that one there because I know he is.
So go on, Mark. Where do you see it? Go on. What's your vision?
I think my confidence has grown a lot over the last. If I'm honest, maybe a year ago, I couldn't see how we're going to get to where we are. But I think now with all the changes, how everyone's in sync, I believe in this brand a lot. And I think the 50 shops and more can be a goal if we do things correctly. And I believe it will, because if you've got the right people around you, I can't see any reason why we can't get there. But yeah, it's a process. And I think the biggest challenge, if we're honest, is now we know what works and the framework. That's actually it's actually slowing us down a little bit, right?
Totally.
Because we won't make the same mistakes. So we won't just get the shop that's wrong, and we won't just take on the people that are wrong. So I'll say that's the only thing that's slowing us down, is finding these locations, the right shops, with the right people. But I do believe there'll be one bit that it just clicks and booms, and that all starts coming together. And I think that's the battle, being patient enough to say, okay, that's not right for us.
Yeah, but we still have emails all the
being
time.
really ambitious.
We still have emails all the time. People say, want to take on a franchise or whatever. Really? I don't know you. I mean, I'd be happy now that where we are, the three of us. People want to come and talk to us and say, well, actually, I've got this shop, or I want to rebrand because I want to grow and I don't know how to do it on my own, and you guys have got the knowledge of how to do that. Great, come and talk to us. We'll have a chat.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy to do that now because we've got the processes in place and we know what we're doing and we know what we're talking about. And if people do want to grow and go to the next one, you've got these guys out there. Great, you want to open the door with your name above the door. Brilliant.
We've got Mark as well now, which he's been on the other side for so many years. So you've got that sort of bias towards picking and choosing, and I think it pays to be picky.
Yeah,
You're picky with
I would say we all complement each other in different ways, and like I say, I think that from me going,
He's saying that with a smile on his face.
well, yeah, because I think sometimes in the shops, maybe slightly younger, the barbers might feel more confident about coming to me at times and speaking to them if I'm being honest, just being real and honest, on a level. Sometimes it's scary talking to the big boss as such, and I think people look at me more as just one of the lads in the shop with them that's done that journey, and hopefully I can inspire people to go on that journey as well, right? That's what I want to do. And I can do that on that ground level.
Yeah.
And we all complement each other in different areas of that. And I think that's one of the things why it will work now, because I think we're all strong enough as well as characters to have. I think one of the problems with business, especially when you work with, my wife is in the business with us. She's a barber as well. I own shops with friends. Like, we're all friends. And people will say to me, oh, you shouldn't get into business with friends. And I actually think that's bullshit. I think you can get into business with friends and family if you're brave enough to have honest conversations. So where it falls down is, if you're too scared to have the honest conversation with each other about what you actually want, then you start, it's like a little paper, you know, like a little paper scratch or whatever you want to call it. And that builds up over time and over time. And then eventually it causes tension, and that could obviously cause tension in your relationship or anything else. Whereas if you're brave enough to be honest with each other and say, look, this is what I want, or this is what I don't think that's right. Being in business with friends and family is great because we all care, you know. So I think that's one of the things, being honest and brave enough as a brand to do.
I think with the three of them, there's no. One of the reasons it works really well is there isn't an ego in there. We all want what's right for the brand and the business and the people in the business, so that's very aligned. Yeah. I think we all understand as well that it's where the really good growth comes from our business is kind of internally, organically through the people we have, because we have so many amazing people in the business already here, and we want to bring them on the journey with us and grow with those people.
What about you, AUBS? You are someone that has gone from sweeping the floor. I mean, when did you start sweeping the floor? What, 2 years ago? Or more than that, 3 years ago? 3 years ago.
Just over 3.
You know, and in that 3 years, not only are you now, you know, cutting hair, you're on stage, you seem like,
Hosting
you know, your
podcasts.
social media is really inspiring, you know, but you've also got this sort of sassy personality with it all, and you've created kind of like an AUBS brand within the Mr. Barber
Yeah, it's
brand.
all marketing. I'm not this sassy with my family, don't worry. I'm not always like this.
And that interests me, you know, because it allows us to build with someone that can also, but it's not controlling, where, you know, you can still build your own, you can still be yourself within the brand. And you've been a fine example of that. I mean, what do you want to do? What are your goals? Where do you want to go with things?
I like business.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to be involved in business and investing. I don't want to be cutting it full time when I'm like 30. Sorry. Just personally. I love it, but eventually I'd like to do what you're doing and just have like my allocated clients that I can kind of cut just for like a catch up.
And I think that's our challenge. So as a business, I think the challenge for us is to understand talent like yourself and be able to create, because we have to be realistic. Talented people can sometimes go on, right? They can go and do their own journey, and there might be a time where you might do that, but obviously we hope you don't. But we as a brand need to be proactive to keep talent like you, to provide opportunities for people like yourself, so then you are, we can grow together. And I think that's another challenge that we're going to face as businesses. Yeah. If we want to promote people, that's going to come with attention, right? So these people are going to go off and build themselves up with us. And we need to be proactive enough as a brand to face them challenges as well, so we can all grow together and create opportunities. And that's why these podcasts are going to be great, and hopefully you can help us with the social side and the things that we struggle with, because we don't have all the answers, right? So we need to build.
We've got to get a Mr. Tattoo. This can't go anywhere else.
Yeah, I think that's something that interests me, and I love that. You know, I love to see your growth over the last couple of years.
Yeah,
but it's always been important for us, though, that everybody's an individual and everyone has different goals, different drivers, and we can't just have a one shoe fits all approach. We have to be adaptable with everybody, and I think understanding what people's ambitions are then allows you to deliver.
Basically, you got barbers who just want to cut hair.
Yeah,
that's what they want to do. They want to come in the morning, they want to work at the station, and they just want to cut hair and they want to earn money and want to go home. That's it. And they just want to look after their customers. Then you got people like you who, like, you know, you don't want to be behind the chair when you're 30. You know, that was always...
Because 30 is really old.
Yeah, thanks for that. So, actually, one of the guys that I used to work with, Dennis, years ago, he always said to me, I don't want to be the oldest barber in town. Dan, I think you're the oldest barber in town now.
Already.
I think. But that resonated with me, because I thought, well, you know, I didn't want to be the oldest barber in town. I'm not far off, but I'm only doing it a few hours a week, and I'm just helping other people to not be the oldest barber in town.
Being there.
I don't want, you know, if you can open a shop and you're going to have sharing a business and you can just do that kind of stuff, then eventually maybe you'll have 2 or 3 shops. You know, we've got other guys with us who've got 2 or 3 shops. We've got a couple of guys who've got more than one shop. You know, so there's a different side of it to just earning money through walking around the chair.
Yeah, I feel like some people have it all and they don't utilise it. I've seen it a few times.
But you know, if they're with us, just put your hand up, get in touch. You know, like if you want to do something, if you
Be up
you know,
front. If someone says no, you're probably asking the wrong person. So
Yeah.
that's how I look at it. I feel
Yeah.
like just
yeah.
go with it. It's really nerve-wracking, don't get me wrong, but full send, you know. Well, we just finished episode 1 from literally where it started with you guys. This will be the first of many, hopefully. There's many journeys to kind of explore, older, younger, new generation, apprentices. You can find all the links to our social media and platforms down below. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.